Hi, welcome. My name's Dale McCluskey, and on this video, as part of my series called Flipping the Script, I'm going to be providing insight and context into a very popular concept within the dog training community by way of those who identify as pictured here, balanced dog trainers, force-free trainers, and that concept is called counter conditioning, as seen here in the title of this video, by way again of dog owners who are experiencing a relationship problem with their dog, dogs that are very reactive by way of certain interactions, such as taking your dog to the groomer, as you're going to see here in terms of a interaction, and taking your dog to the vet for a procedure, and understanding that this can be a very challenging type of situation for dog owners, very stressful for the dog owner, stressful on the dog as well, a dog that has already gained a level of control in the relationship. And this is, where I'm going to be going on this video in terms of understanding why it is that this concept, by way of how it's applied and the fact that it does not align by way of, again, I talk about the two core ingredients, influence and control, to reconcile, to change the perception of dogs the right way. Understand that this idea itself is very problematic. In fact, here in the video, it says, don't make this simple mistake. Well, I would encourage you to not make the mistake of actually applying this concept, because again, it sets up the scenario where people feel like, or dog owners feel like, they're like a hamster spinning in the wheel. In fact, one little kind of misstep, okay, in terms of what you're doing, in terms of the type of association that's been created, we'll talk about that, can send things completely off the deep end by way of dogs going into a challenged state. So again, I talk about, what's the replacement, okay, for this very popular concept that actually brings the two core ingredients in by way of influence and control. Well, the replacement, and you can see this on my YouTube channel, is what's called the push-pull method. And you'll see me applying this through even socialization, by way of individuals making contact, getting the pet on your dog. You'll see it through, again, trimming nails, okay? But again, understanding that when we talk about certain concepts in the dog training world, it's interesting in the sense that you have both balanced dog trainers and force-free who market these superficial, bribery-based ideas based on the fact that both these groups align themselves with this idea that training is a learning-based exercise once a relationship problem is underway. And again, I talk about the source of the problem by way, again, within the framework of response. And again, absent, okay, the two core ingredients I talk about, influence and control, to actually change perception of dogs the right way. And so here I'm going to play some of this video. Again, this video is put up by Tyler Muto, who's a popular balanced dog trainer, talking about this concept. Again, I'll play some of this video. It's a very short video, again, to provide some insight and context as to why this concept, counter conditioning, is very problematic based on its application.
Today, we're going to talk about counter conditioning, which is a process that we use to take a situation or event that a dog has a negative feeling about and make it more positive.
So stop it here, because understand that, when you talk about language, okay, you talk about, how trainers, will try to explain a concept. Understand that, the type of language that you're getting, the type of, explanations are superficial nature. Okay, to talk about, a negative event, make it more positive. Well, the question should be, well, what does that even mean? What's the context of that? And again, I talk about the context of agreeableness, okay, which is something that is completely lost within the dog training community, okay? So I talk about agreeableness by way of responses, okay, by way of certain associations, okay, that are established through this bribery-based ideology. And I line this up by way, again, of the parenting example. And again, this is the way you want to, when you consider how these concepts are applied, based, again, on relationship, okay, based on the fact that you're experiencing a relationship problem, the current state relationship, you can, again, I encourage you to think about and consider the parenting example by way, again, of a parenting issue by way of a child that's become selfish. And at that point in the relationship, okay, jumping in like all these trainers are doing, and without connecting dots by way of the parental role, the parenting style that is connected to the parental role, simply in a very superficial way, generating responses while assuming that those responses represent that the relationship's getting better, but really based on nothing. Okay, understand that when trainers are looking at the sit, the down, the stay, the come, and they're using treats, typically you're going to see this being used here. They're assuming that those moments that where, say, the dog is very agreeable, right, represent change or represent something positive. Without considering, again, I talk about one of the big themes is the level of stinking thinking, okay, that's currently happening by way of the relationship and the deceptive nature of appearances. And so again, when you consider, go back to the parenting example, it'd be no different than a parent who's engaging with those themes: bribery, accommodation, negotiation, when the child is already selfish, okay, and attempting to gain agreeableness. Again, this is the context of agreeableness. When I talk about agreeableness, why this is problematic for those who buy into this ideology. It's no different than a child who's not very agreeable, okay, to sharing their toys, okay, based again on their bad attitude and the fact they're selfish already, and a parent who engages in negotiation and bribery, and again putting out the kind of the carrot of, hey, if you get along the next 20 minutes with your peers, I'll give you, you're going to get the brand new Xbox game that just came out. And the child who's all absorbed into video games is like excited, like they're very agreeable to this association, okay, that's been established by way of a interaction that they're going to have with their peers. And so they share, right? They're very very sharing, getting appearance, everything appears great, at least from appearances. And then again, once they get their video game, not only do they not want to share, they don't want to share the video game either, but you haven't established anything in terms of a better relationship. And understand this is exactly what's happening in the dog training world by way of dogs as social animals, how they connect with us that way, how the dogs connect. And so again, when you talk about appearances, okay, you talk about why it is that, and this is the problem, is you apply this concept by way of those themes: bribery, accommodation, negotiation, without considering the fact you're dealing with a relationship problem. Okay, that's why you have to apply the concept in the first place, because again, you go into situations where, by way of grooming, by way of going to the vet, those situations represent a dog being brought under a level of intentional control and influence by way of certain procedures. And so the dog is going to be very disagreeable to those type of interactions based on the fact that the dog has gained control in the relationship. And now there's also a stress load on the dog. And so here, this concept, how it's applied, is to, again, engage in a type of, bribery-based bridge building, something positive, such as treats are usually the go-to here, to try to change the focus of the dog. Okay, and it's no different, again, when I talk about concepts, how they're applied. It'd be like taking and again, I've used this example in other videos, and going back to the parent examples, a child's mouthing off at a parent, is the parent just out of nowhere, as the child's engaged in mouthing off, is taking the chocolate bar out of your back pocket and beginning to, hold it out to your side, up in the air, and the child, focus directs towards the chocolate bar, which now they want. And so there appears to be a very calm moment. Only because, right, you're engaging in bribery, okay? And this is where, again, you hear balanced dog trainers out there putting out the narrative of rewarding bad behavior to create good behavior. And even they themselves saying, well, it seems like a contradiction. Well, that's because it is, okay? I understand that, when you look at, but again, always consider, and this is the thing, it's like, the truth is always going to be out there. Always look at the relationship itself. Understand that when you're considering these concepts and applying them, what you'll typically find, okay, coming out on the other side is having to keep reapplying them, because You're always walking on eggshells. There's always going to be these moments kind of rearing their ugly head where a dog's becoming aggressive. And you're never going to truly fix the relationship. But because these concepts play into people's emotions, using treats, rewarding, petting on the dog, right, trying to gain agreeableness. These concepts are very popular, even though they aren't helpful when it comes to gaining traction to actually resolve a relationship problem.
Specifically, I want to talk about one of the most common mistakes that trainers often make when using counter conditioning procedures.
Again, the mistake is actually using it.
As an example, we're going to use Tyson the Bulldog, who needs to have the skin folds on his face cleaned regularly. However, he has a history of becoming very aggressive when...
So here's an example. Again, this illustrates my point. So here, no control brought onto this dog. Okay, this dog, the leash is like laying here on the floor. And this is meant to, again, establish, right, a positive association. And again, consider what I just talked about, the theme of bribery, right? Trying to shift the dog, change the dog's focus as control and influence are brought onto the dog. And so, but again, the theme here is, the build up towards, trying to create more control over a dog is to keep it at a very, really low level, because that's the whole kind of, line here, okay? When it comes to a dog's level of control is that you're trying to find, and this is what trainers will do, they're trying to find the right level here to keep things from starting to explode, okay? But understand you're not fixing anything by way of these concepts because they're engaging in a level of bribery, okay? Again, the way to fix, okay, a relationship problem overall, but also in terms of gaining agreeableness through certain interactions such as this, okay, is, again, you'll see it through the push-pull method, but again, it's doing it in a way in which the dog's going to be agreeable. So there's still a level there where you have to work towards that, but the good news is it fixes everything, okay? Understand that, it changes the perception of dogs the right way. It changes the dog's overall decision-making process. So the whole foundation, okay, is totally different, but the right way. Here, this is an attempt to try to gain agreeableness, but with the dog still in control. Okay, understand that you're not resolving anything. You're basically, what you're doing is you're engaging, you're quarterbacking, the problem, but the wrong way. Okay, you're entering into a type of negotiation.
People try to do it. The error is simply one of timing. Here you can see I'm presenting the wipe that we use to clean his face.
So timing, okay, so understand it's like, right, control, right, dog has control, and so it's like it's like walking on eggshells, okay, you're trying to change that focus just at the right time, right, so that things don't set off. So, and so as the dog has more and more control in the relationship, okay, everything starts to become a trigger point. It's like you're trying to, and this is what happens, is that a dog may, okay, be agreeable to this to a certain level, based again on because everything how this works is that everything has to be, it's like painting a picture. Everything has to be kind of set in motion in a way through this as you're doing this where the dog is, when you're doing this type of exchange almost, it's a type of negotiation. And so, but what happens is if you shift just a little bit or you're turned the other way or you're doing something a little bit different, suddenly that dog will trigger off. Okay, because understand this is the problem. It doesn't actually fix anything. Okay, it's a type of contract, almost like you're signing a very specific contract. Okay, but all the type of of movements and how you're doing this, if it's not done just so, okay, everything will trigger off. So understand it sets up a real type of scenario where you feel like you've gained momentum or it offers up hope, but it's false hope. Okay, you'll see that. Any trainers who experience this or dog owners, you'll see how things will all fall apart. You see like you have to keep applying this and reapplying it because you're not actually fixing it. Okay, you're engaging in bribery.
And then right after presenting him with a treat. Wipe, treat, in pretty close succession.
Yeah, you better keep it close. Okay. So my encouragement again, you see these concepts out there, understand that the real fix, okay, comes through your role. Okay, comes through understanding your role, what that represents. Again, I talk about a interaction-based approach, okay, that brings those two core ingredients in, influence and control, how they align, okay, how a dog comes into agreement the right way, okay, that's the true fix. And so the replacement for this, again, you check out my YouTube channel, is the push-pull method. Okay, you see how I'm doing the push-pull method for socialization. It could be for going to the vet, going to the groomer. But again, like always, if you have questions, contact me. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. There's lots of great training options available through my website. But again, just consider this concept. Major problem. What I suggest is don't make the mistake, okay, of following this path. Thanks for watching.